Hi everyone, it's Miss Brenner. Today we're going to be reading The April Witch by Ray Bradbury. We're going to be completing this through Edpuzzle, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me and make sure that you are answering the questions in the Edpuzzle as they pop up. Alrighty guys, so we're going to start on page 1 of our story, and we're going to be doing this in sections, so we're going to read pages 1 through 5 today. Alright. Into the air, over the valleys, under the stars, above a river, a pond, a road, flew Cecy. Invisible as new spring winds, fresh as the breath of clover rising from twilight fields, she flew. She soared in doves as soft as white ermine, stopped in trees and lived in blossoms showered away in petals where the breeze blew. She perched in a lime-green frog, cool as mint by a shining pool. She trotted in a Branbury dog and barked to hear echoes from the sides of distant barns. She lived in new April grasses and sweet, clear liquids rising from the musky earth. It's spring, thought Cecy. I'll be in every living thing in the world tonight. Now she inhabited neat crickets on the tar-pool roads, now prickled in dew on an iron gate. Hers was an adaptably quick mind flowing unseen upon Illinois' winds on this one evening of her life when she was just 17. I want to be in love, she said. She had said it at supper, and her parents had widened their eyes and stiffened back in their chairs. Patience had been their advice. Remember, you are remarkable. Our whole family is odd and remarkable. We cannot mix or marry with ordinary folk. We'd lose our magical powers if we did. You wouldn't want to lose your ability to travel by magic, would you? Then be careful, be careful. But in her high bedroom, Cecy had touched perfume to her throat and stretched out, trembling and apprehensive, on her four-postered as a moon the color of milk rose over Illinois' country, turning rivers to cream and roads to platinum. Yes, she sighed. I'm one of an odd family. We sleep days and fly nights like black kites on the wind. If we want, we can sleep in moles through the winter, in the warm earth. I can live in anything at all, a pebble, a crocus, or a praying mantis. I can leave my plain, bony body behind and send my mind far out for adventure. Now. The wind whipped her way over fields and meadows. She saw the warm spring lights of cottage and farms glowing with twilight colors. If I can't be in love myself, because I'm plain and odd, then I'll be in love through someone else, she thought. Outside a farmhouse, in the spring night, a dark-haired girl, no more than 19, drew up water from a deep stone well. She was singing. Cecy fell, a green leaf, into the well. She lay in the tender moss of the well, gazing up through dark coolness. Now she quickened in a fluttering, invisible amovia, now in a water droplet. At last, within a cold cup, she felt herself lifted to the girl's warm lips. There was a soft night sound of drinking. Cecy looked out from the girl's eyes. She entered into the dark head and gazed from the shining eyes at the hands pulling the rough rope. She listened through the shell ears to the girl's world. She smelled a particular universe through these delicate nostrils. She felt this special heart beating, felt this strange tongue move with singing. Does she know I'm here? Thought Cecy. The girl gasped. She stared into the night meadows. Who's there? No answer. Only the wind, whispered Cecy. Only the wind, the girl laughed at herself, but shivered. It was a good body, the girl's body. It held bones of finest slender ivory, hidden with roundly fleshed. This brain was like a pink tea-rose, hung in darkness, and there was cider wine in this mouth. The lips lay firm on the white teeth, and the brows arched neatly at the world, and the hair blew soft and wind on her milky neck. The pores knit small and close. The nose tilted at the moon, and the cheeks glowed like small fires. The body drifted, with feather balances, from one motion to another, and seemed always singing to itself. Being in this body, This head was like basking in a hearthy fire, living in the purr of a sleeping cat, stirring in warm creek waters that flowed by night to the sea. I'll like it here, thought Cecy. What? Asked the girl, as if she'd heard a voice. What's your name? Asked Cecy carefully. Anna Larry. The girl twitched. Now, why should I say that out loud? Anne, whispered Cecy. Anne, you're going to be in love. As if to answer this, a great roar sprang from the road. A clatter and a ring of wheels on gravel. A tall man drove up in a rig, and holding the reins high with his monstrous arms, his smile glowing across the yard. Is that you, Tom? Who else? Leaping from the rig, he tied the reins to the fence. I'm not speaking to you. Anne whirled the bucket in her hands, slopping. No! Cried Cecy. Anne froze. She looked at the hills and the first spring stars. She stared at the man named Tom. Cecy made her drop the bucket. Look what you've done. Tom ran up. Look what you made me do. He wiped her shoes with a handkerchief, and laughing. Get away, she kicked at his hands. But he laughed again, and gazed down on him from miles away. Cecy saw the turn of his head, the size of his skull, the flare of his nose, the shine of his eyes, the girth of his shoulders, and the hard strength of his hands, doing this delicate thing with the handkerchief. Peering down from the secret attic of this lovely head, Cecy yanked a hidden copper ventriloquist wire, and the pretty mouth popped wide. Thank you. Oh, so you have manners. The smell of leather on his hands, the smell of the horse rose from his clothes into the tender nostrils, and Cecy, far, far away over night meadows and flowered fields, stirred as with some dream in her bed. Not for you, no, said Anne. Hush, speak gently, said Cecy. She moved Anne's fingers out towards Tom's head. Anne snatched them back. I've gone mad. You have, he nodded, smiling, but bewildered. Were you going to touch me then? I don't know. Oh, go away. Her cheeks glowed with pink charcoals. Why don't you run? I'm not stopping you. Tom got up. Have you changed your mind? Will you go to the dance with me tonight? It's special. Tell me why later. No, said Anne. Yes, cried Cecy. I've never danced. I want to dance. I've never worn a long gown, all rustly. I want that. I want to dance all night. I've never known what it's like to be in a woman dancing. Father and mother would never permit it. Dogs, cats, locusts, leaves, everything else in the world at one time or another I've done. I've known, but never a woman in the spring. Never on a night like this. Oh, please, we must go to that dance. She spread her thought like the fingers of a hand within a new glove. Yes, said Anne Larry. I'll go. I don't know why, but I'll go to the dance with you, Tom. Now inside, quick, cried Cecy. You must wash. Tell your folks, get your gown ready. Out with the iron, into your room. Mother, said Anne, I've changed my mind. The rig was galloping off down the pike. The rooms of the farmhouse jumped to life. Water was boiling for a bath. Coal stove was heated, and iron to press the gown. The mother was rushing about with a fringe of hairpins in her mouth. What's come over you, Anne? You don't like Tom. That's true. Anne stopped amidst the great fever. But it's spring, thought Cecy. It's spring, said Anne. And it's a fine night for dancing, thought Cecy. For dancing, murmured Anne Larry. Then she was in the tub, and soap creaming all her white seal shoulders, small nests of soap beneath her arms, and the flesh of her warm breast moving in her hands, and Cecy moving the mouth, making the smile, keeping the actions going. There must be no pause, no hesitation, or the entire Phantom might fall in ruins. Anne Larry must be kept moving, doing, acting, washing here, soap there, now out, rub with a towel, now perfume and powder. You, Anne caught herself in the mirror, all whiteness and pinkness like lilies and carnations. Who are you tonight? I'm a girl of 17, Cecy gazed from her violet eyes. You can't see me, Do you know I'm here?" Anne Larry shook her head. "I've rented my body to an April witch for sure." "Close, very close," laughed Cecy. "Now on with your dressing." The luxury of feeling good clothes move over an ample body, and then the halloo of outside. "Anne, Tom's back." "Tell him to wait." Anne sat down suddenly. "Tell him I'm not going to that dance." "What?" said her mother in the door. Cecy snapped back into attention. It had been a fatal relaxing, a fatal moment of leaving Anne's body for only an instant. She had heard the distant sound of the horses' hoofs and the rig rambling through the moonlit spring country. For a second she thought, "I'll go find Tom and sit in his head and see what it's like to be in a man of 22 on a night like this." And so she had started quickly across a heather field, but now, like a bird to a cage, flew back and rustled and beat about in Anne Larry's head. "Tell him to go away." "Anne!" Cecy settled down and spread her thoughts. But Anne had the bit in her mouth now. "No, no, I hate him." "I shouldn't have left, even for a moment." Cecy poured her mind in the hands of the young girl, into the heart, into the head. Softly, softly. "Stand up," she thought. Anne stood. "Put on your coat." Anne put on her coat. "Now march." Alrighty. And that is the end of page 5. So we're going to stop there for part 1, and we will pick back up on page 6 in part 2. Alrighty, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.